As a minister of truth, you've got to confront sin. I had this beautiful couple that went to my church and had a cute little daughter. It was so witty. And it seemed to be just absolutely perfect. Well, one Saturday night, my wife had a dream. And in the dream, she saw this guy who was a fairly large man selling drugs to kids in a Christian school. Not our school, but another school. And she saw who he was selling drugs to. And so she told me about that. The next morning was Sunday. And so I said, well, I'll just wait. And they came to church. So I greeted him in the door. And I said, hey, bud. I said, I need to tell you something. I said, my wife had a dream last night and saw you selling drugs to kids over at such and such a school. And he looked at me and he said, a dream? You gonna come up here and accuse me of selling drugs based on a dream? I said, yes, my wife is very spiritual and I know that was exactly right. And if you keep selling drugs, I'm gonna turn you in. If you stop now, enough said. Won't have anything else to say about it. Well, turns out, he got angry. He said, I'll tell you one thing. If you tell anybody, you're a dead man. You understand? Well, you know, somebody threatened your life, you got to, I guess, be ready to defend it. Well, it wasn't long after that, he got busted. And he wanted to meet me. Well, he happened to get out on parole. So he said, I want to meet you at church. And I thought, he's going to beat me up. And it was a Sunday morning. And he told me to come up there early. So I come up early, an hour early. And there he was standing in the driveway. And he was all bowed up looking. I went, oh man, he's fixing to beat me up right here. I said, well, I'm not going to back up. I got out of my vehicle, walked up to him. The most amazing thing, he fell down on his knees and grabbed my ankles and he said, please forgive me, I don't want to go to prison. He said, I got a wife and a kid. And I said, okay, stand up. If you really mean it, you really, really mean it, I'll go to bat for you. He said, oh, I do. He said, I'm not going to sell drugs anymore. They may try to kill me trying to get out, but I'm not selling drugs anymore. That's okay. So I called the district attorney, who was a friend of mine, and I said, look, I know y'all fixing to send him up, and it's a pretty bad deal, selling drugs to kids. I said, but I believe he has really repented. Well, the district attorney said, okay, what do you want to do? I said, leave him in my custody for a couple of months, and let's just see how he does. And so he did. And the next thing I know, he started going to school, studying nursing. And he wound up getting his nursing degree. He stayed, and finally they moved down to Alexandria, 100 miles from here, and he started making a living like you're supposed to make a living, fairly, honestly, truthfully. And they've been happy ever since. My story is this: you can't lie to a prophet or a prophetess. They've had a dream. Look, the power of God comes out. Be sure your sins will find you out. There are people in churches everywhere that have got some deep, dark, black sins, and they need to be exposed. You don't want them to go to prison. I don't want them to go to prison. But sometimes prison's the only thing they'll listen to, the only time they'll humble themselves. Just so happened to be this guy, he got right with God before he went to prison. And he was spared all of that. God had mercy on his soul. So let's find out what God is doing. Don't just look at somebody like a cash cow. They bring a lot of money in the church. Be spiritual minded. When you walk up to people, have a spirit of discernment about you, that you'll be able to tell what's going on in their life. Like my wife, she had a spirit of discernment. She had that dream. Look, it was from heaven. God gave it to her. And we were able to cut that thing off before it got too far down the road. And you can too, if you will get a spirit of discernment, learn how to get hold to God, have dreams and visions, and expose sin for what it is. It's ugly, nasty, cruel, mean, black, dark, and it will destroy people's lives. It doesn't help them. It's okay for a season, it seems like to them, but in the end, it is death and destruction. God bless you guys, and go in peace. Be spiritual. You can do it. I can't be everywhere. You do it. Love you guys. Bye.